Breaking down the nation's top cornerback recruits right here on the Portal Podcast.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. We're going to be jumping into all things about five-star cornerbacks today, where they're visiting, where they're committed, what makes them five-star corners, and how the cornerback game has changed right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, number one network in the land. Thank you for making it all happen. And today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, you can bet $5, and if it hits, you can get $250 in bonus bets from FanDuel. Just head to FanDuel.com to get started. We're going to jump in with the baseline of what's going on here, and that's finding corners that are not only long and speedy and athletic, but understand the game above the shoulders, because offenses, they've really evolved. Even teams that you never thought would be good at throwing the football will come up with things to really catch you off guard and get easy touchdowns. If you do not have a diverse group of corners, and I mean corners, not like one guy that can take somebody away, your group, you're going to get smoked. I've seen that at the college level, at the high school level, in 7-on-7, in camps. Anything that you see, it's all about mesh concepts, trying to confuse people and getting guys just scot-free for an easy walk-in touchdown. It is about above the shoulder. And to that end, there are numerous players that have committed recently, just to use as an example. But one of the players that Florida just got to commit is probably the best example of them all. The Gators find ways to get into Georgia every year to get some players, and that's not surprising. But this young man is a little bit under the radar. His name's Aamaury Fountain. He's a corner out of one of my favorite areas in the country, Warner Robins. He goes to the north side. He was committed to South Carolina. He just flipped to the Gators. He's a little, in my opinion, underrated, depending on which service you want to go by. He's a top 40 corner by 24/7. I think he should be higher, but he's hard to really grade, and he's a great example of why corner is eye of the beholder. I'm going to give my picks on some guys that I think are going to end up 5 stars at the end of the cycle during today's show, but this is a kid, this just a great example based on what you want to do. He's listed at 6'3", so right off the bat, measurables are there. Does he have length? Yes. Does he have speed? Yes. Does he play in an area where football is important? Warner Robins, Georgia, is South Central Georgia, not an area that any day of the year goes by where football is not talked about in every restaurant in the town, etc. They got 3 high schools that put players into the major P4. All of them are about football all day, every day. He fits that. But he's, again, you can rank kids however you want, but he's 39th by 24/7, and he's in the middle of one of the most football-crazy, football-centric areas in the United States. That shows you how difficult it is. So, again, Aamaury Fountain flips from South Carolina to Florida, and by the way, hats off to Summerall and his staff. They are rolling right now. They've got some more kids that are probably going to commit pretty soon. They just had their spring game. But this is a microcosm of what it's about. So I'm going to put up on the screen my overview of what I think from watching all these camps and combines and 7-on-7 tournaments. I was just at another one this weekend, of what it's about. So talent is not enough. Coverage knowledge separates good from great. And just for those of you watching live or listening and or watching later on, cover 7 is the key term now. In short, it is Nick Saban defense. It is match defense. It is sitting there looking at the number 2, like if they've got 3 players on one side, the number 2 is the slot or the middle guy, looking through him to the quarterback, driving on the football. It's the basic premise, if you will, of what the Seattle Seahawks did in that Super Bowl game against the Pats. They ate them alive. They read the coverages. They knew what was coming. They understood the formations and the tendencies. Drive on the football, and if they do run deep, they knew when to pass off and when not to. It was all above the shoulders. So the first thing about corner anymore, yeah, you got to have length, you got to have speed, but if you don't understand what's going on around you, it's over. You're going to get beat at some point in that game for a long one, and it can be the difference. One play in a game anymore is the key. Shot plays, keeping things in front of you, The metrics show it, especially with the college game. That's why you see more teams running cover 2, cover 3, and match. You're not going to go 10-plus plays against this, especially if you're a team that's got true defensive front, defensive talent that can go to the NFL. They're going to make a play, get a strip sack. They're going to go in, get a tackle for loss, keep everything in front of you. Understand the match schemes for a lot of teams. Teams are going to that. And even if it's just zone, just cover 4, when to drive on the ball and knowing tendencies and how to handle those bunch formations, those 3-by-1s. That's everything. The Fountain kid that just committed to Ford, I want to use him as an example before I go into my list because he's 6'2.5", 6'3". He's listed at 6'3", so he's got to be like 6'2.5". That's a kid that you could end up playing at free safety if you needed him to. He could probably play nickel. His film is good. He has athleticism and all that. But it's going to depend on what he learns on the chalkboard, how the Florida Gators defensive secondary coaches and the defensive coordinator and the head coach. It's a big responsibility in the SEC. Like, again, if you make a mistake, it's touchdown. Those are the kind of kids at least give you a chance because if he makes an error, he's got more length, he's got more speed. Those are great things. But in these bunch formations, you're not getting beat by a foot. You're getting beat sometimes by yards. Then your length isn't going to make much difference. You're not going to get a deflection on that. Got to know these schemes, got to know zone because you can't just play cover 1 anymore. Those days are over. They're switching at the line of scrimmage almost every play. It drives even Saban's defenses crazy sometimes, or at least it did during his tenure. Tennessee gave them problems, etc. It must be flawless. So when I talk about grading kids, some of the kids that I've seen, it's the ones that at least want to learn. They're not too big-headed. Hey, I've got all the offers. And above all else, they constantly improve on their craft. So to that end, again, cover 7 is just one example, and that's Saban's defense. It's the match, but you got to learn all the different coverages. Number 2, length is only the beginning, as I was just talking about. Makeup speed is important. Understanding your technique, understanding inside and outside, knowing where your help is, all those things are important. So number 2 is something, it's ironic. I heard CJ Bailey, the guy that runs Coastline Stars for us, talk about it multiple times during games this weekend. We played up in Nashville at Battles Finals. Didn't go well. And one of the reasons is we had guys going the wrong direction. They didn't communicate well. Had a bunch of new guys playing together. It's hard. So continuity matters. Playing with the same guys, it's huge. Getting high school recruits that are elite corners to come in and play with each other for years, I think is really important. It's almost like offensive line in some ways. Number 3, understanding leverage creates turnovers. What do I mean by this? Well, that length does come into play with this. 1 inch is the difference sometimes between a PBU and a touchdown on a fade ball or on a quick slant. How far out, and Saban used to talk about this all the time, how far out the receiver is depends on how far inside you are if you're in pure man coverage and press. Like he wanted it to, like he had it measured out and told guys, if they're at this spot, you're this far inside. If they're a little bit further, you're at this point. Everybody has their own scheme, and that was the Saban's. But you've got to understand where your help is with that leverage to make sure that you're going to maximize. Because the offense knows where the football's going. You don't. You can get a good idea based on their formation, but they may have put in something that week with that same formation, hoping that you're going to just go with your knowledge based on seeing the film. And you're going to break on it. They're going to run a double move, etc. So every little bit of information that the coaching staff gives a corner is paramount. Those that don't are those that lose. And it happens all the time. I saw it in 7-on this weekend with the team that I work with, Coastline Stars, and other teams that I was watching. I'll even put it to you like this. Our 10U won the championship at Battle. There was a play, they rotated before the snap. Coach Corey calls out some 10-year-olds rotated into position. They ended up getting an interception. Knowing where you should be, 10-year-olds, if they can do it, then 16 to 18-year-olds should be able to start to figure it out. And it changes how these rankings work. That's very, very important. You've got to be able to adjust on the fly. Finally, speed is necessary, but technique and physicality also define a 5-star cornerback. I'm going to give 2 examples on this. There's a kid at IMG Academy named Censere Gaylord. Really, really savvy player. Like from the moment I saw him when he transferred into IMG, he was into his sophomore year, going into his junior. Technically, he was just super advanced. Really skinny kid. He's 160 pounds, but he could run and he could flip his hips, just really dialed into every little drill that he went through at an Under Armour camp. Like, I don't know who this kid is, but I think he's going to be really good. Kind of let it be. Well, some of the people that I've been around have worked with him. Some of the guys that play corner, I've seen him, and they all love him. Even though he's 160, 170 pounds, somewhere in that range, and he needs to add weight, that's a guy that's going to end up being a big-time player. And Georgia wants him. Like, by the way, Kirby kind of knows corners just then, among numerous other programs. If Georgia really wants you, you're pretty darn good. It's up to you at that point to figure it out, because Kirby's going to put a lot on your plate in terms of scheme and all that, including the match defense that Saban runs. To that, I believe that Censere is as good an overall corner as there is in the country, because he can play outside, he can play nickel, or he can play bound. He'd figure it out at any level. That's not easy to do, especially when you're not the biggest guy, but he's very physical. He'll come up and play bump, but it's not just about coverage. He'll tackle in the run game, and he'll also tackle in the screen game. Try to find different angles to get to the football, obviously to avoid offensive linemen. I mean, I don't care if you're as talented as Censere is or not. You need to avoid the offensive lineman. He understands attacking with his players around him to make sure they don't give up the outside, and watch the guy on a simple screen pass end up going down the sidelines. He gets that stuff, and he will also come up and tattoo you. The physicality is there, and he's not the biggest guy. He's one of the smaller corners I'm going to talk about today. That's okay. He finds a way to get there, and he'll bring the boom when he can. When you put that in combination with his versatility and his natural coverage skills, to me, he's a 5-star corner. Now, he's not going to be ranked that way by some of the other services because of one simple factor, and I get it. It's size. Okay, and I've questioned that too, but going back and watching this film and just talking to people, this is a 5-star corner because of all the little things. And at the end of the day, I like my own opinions, but when it comes to DBs, again, I'm going to trust Kirby. They have went after him for over a year. That's a good sign. When that's the case, when you believe it with your own eyes and then have somebody who's a master at it that learned under Saban, we're going to go with it. Now, when we come back, I want to talk about a couple of things with this list. I'm going to put up about 8 different guys that I'm going to throw a bunch of stats at you, or excuse me, a bunch of dates and visits and key players. But this is just part of it. This is the hardest year I've ever seen to try to rank corners. It's deeper than ever. We're seeing more guys that used to try to play basketball give that up because they're not tall enough there, but a 6'3" point guard in basketball who's short for the NBA, to be honest, as crazy as that is perfect to play in the secondary, especially if they can play corner. And if they can, there's a boatload of money waiting for them. That is next, right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing on a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what it's all about. You can bet just $5, and if it hits, you can get $250 in bonus bets. Just looking at it from a position of quantity, 5 to 250 is a pretty good risk. It's an easy app to use. You can get all your stats from anywhere, really, but why not do it all in one place on FanDuel? Player stats, trends, matchups, halftime scores you want to talk about. Finding a matchup to give you the best advantage betting on a halftime score? Sure, why not? Is it going to be the Pistons? Is it going to be, again, Oklahoma City? The Thunder are rolling again. That's a team that won like 75% of their road games. Do you want to bet on them for that? There's all kinds of things you can check out with FanDuel. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Check out the Everydayer Club down below in the description. If you use code MARCH, you can get a free month. Check out the Everydayer Club right here on the Locked On Portal Podcast. All right, let's talk about the list. I've got several that I'm still trying to break down. I haven't decided definitively, but I want to use some of the things that I talked about already in the show. This is an example. And these are kids, by and large, that I've seen not just once, but most of them multiple times live. And that matters to me because corner is so hard to play anyway. The more knowledge you have, the better it's going to be. No particular order, but I'll kind of give you an overview of these players, where they are, rankings, just kind of nationally, what the consensus has been, etc. John Meredith III out of North Crowley, which is basically Fort Worth, Texas. Elite speed. I filmed him last year at Under Armour's Future 50. He came in second. He was at a 4.33 or 4.32, and he literally stumbled out of the gate. Like, it was insane. He didn't get a clear, not like he fell down, but his first step was not solid. Like it just didn't grip right. I even talked to him about it afterwards. This is a kid that can float, and he's 6'2". He could play safety. He could play corner. He could play receiver. Whatever you needed, John would figure it out. Love him, and he's as versatile a guy as you're going to find. I don't know what he's going to be best in long-term scheme-wise, but he's got Alabama May 29th, Texas on the 5th of June, A&M on June 12th, and Ohio State June 19th. That's about as elite a four-team unit can be in terms of schools. Again, Bama, Texas, Texas A&M, Ohio State. We'll see where Meredith goes, but this is a guy with the long arms and the speed to make up. If he does make an error, he's at least got a chance. Good guy, really easy going. I mean, some people have him as number one player in the country, 24/7 did for a while, etc. He may even be there now, but he's been recruited for a long time. Everybody wants him. I don't know where he'll end up, but again, I wouldn't care if you put him at nickel, at boundary, at free safety, at field. He would figure it out. Just like him, and this is the other player that's on the thumbnail in case you're watching this on YouTube. His name is Hayden Stepp. He plays at Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. He's going to visit Alabama the same weekend as Meredith on the 29th of May. He's got Oregon June 12th. He's got Cal June 15th. My money a long time ago was on Oregon based on interviewing him and John last summer. And that's when I got the photo of him at Future 50. But I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in a long time. I saw him at a tournament in early February. Great kid. Man, he's long. He's over 6'3" now. He's pushing 6'4". Still looks like he can play corner. If you want to rank somebody ahead of Josh, I got Joshua Dobson as the number one pure corner in the country because his size and everything. But if you wanted to put Hayden Stepp there, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Again, his three visits that I know of are Alabama, Oregon, and Cal. He could end up a lot of different places, so we'll see. But that's one of the longest guys I've ever seen outside of maybe DJ Pickett. He might be the biggest corner that I've ever scouted. Great kid, too. Sincere Gaylord, the kid I talked about already. Washington on June 5th and Auburn on June 19th. That's a unique list. Two totally different parts of the country. Sincere is originally from LA, now plays at IMG. Quiet kid, kind of goes about his business, does what he does, really, really technically sound. I think he's got a bright future. He's going to be one of my 5 stars. I don't know what is going to happen overall. A kid that's just completely the opposite is Sincere. Nobody knew much about him. A. King Hall out of Dothan, Alabama. He just committed to Oregon recently. Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Florida State, several other schools, Texas, Michigan, have all offered. He's got a ton. He was nobody, but he's from down in Southeast Alabama. He was nobody on the list like a year, maybe 15 months ago. Nobody knew who he was. Now he's got like 40. It can change, but he's built like a absolute MMA fighter. He is yoked. He looks like a big running back. He's 190, 195, I would guess, by looking at him. 5'11", 6 foot. This is the different kind of corner, and I wonder if he'll end up nickel. But whatever you're going to run at him in terms of screen game and all that, he's got the power to do it. He's one of the more unique guys and maybe the most difficult for me to rank. I still don't know how to rank him exactly, but he might be the top prospect in the state of Alabama for the class of 27. I talked about Joshua Dobson already last week. He's my number one corner until otherwise proven. He's just outside of Charlotte. He plays at U High School. He's got A&M June 5th, LSU June 12th, South Carolina, June 19th, Bama, Auburn, Notre Dame, Florida, you name it. Any school he'd want to call, they would take Joshua's commitment pretty quick. Xavier Hasan, he is committed to Notre Dame. This is a guy that I think will end up being a 5-star if he's not already, depending on the service. The reason I like him so much, and he's a kid out of Cardinal Gibbons in the triangle area of North Carolina there where UNC, NC State, and Duke are, Raleigh. I don't think there are many guys that are better at the combination of physicality and natural speed and change of direction than Xavier. Very technically advanced. I don't know who he's worked with, but he's advanced for his age. But most important, what I like about him is physicality. I think any team that doesn't run a ton of bunch or if he's playing the boundary, he can handle a bigger receiver. Those guys are unusual. Him and Dobson, another North Carolina kid, are two of the best at that. If you wanted to move him to free safety, he's another guy. Because of the physicality, he could probably handle it. Xavier Hasan, the absolute quintessential versatile DB that you need in today's game, playing against these bunch formations and everything, he fits it to a T. A guy that I think is completely underrated, and I don't know exactly why, Allen Evans, corner out of Trinity High School It's been a prominent program in Louisville for a long time, and he's committed to the Louisville Cardinals. He's going to visit there May 29th for his official. That kid's long. He's athletic. I think he could play receiver, running back, whatever you wanted. If he played in the deep South, maybe like Alabama or Georgia or South Carolina or something, maybe he would get more run on the recruiting services. But I think he's elite. He just doesn't play in an area that's known for it as much, kind of under the radar there. And then one other kid, a Texas commit, that I think kind of fits that as well. I saw him a couple weeks ago at Under Armour in New Orleans. That's Greedy James. He's from Manville, Texas, which is just outside of Houston. He's so long at the hip. He just fits the profile of a man corner. He was good at man. I thought he looked really good at Under Armour. He had a couple of plays where he got slightly behind, but he made up for that in a heartbeat with his speed, and he's just super long. Like, he's a traditional man corner. If he understands, and I haven't seen him enough to know this, some of the zone concepts, or if he grows into that, he could be as good as any corner in this class. It's just up to him. It's ironic, 24/7 and some of the other services, I even talked to him about this, having ranked as a safety. He's played it before, but he's projected at corner at the next level. Again, I love him. Committed to Texas, but Kentucky, TCU, just visited Notre Dame. He's got to visit OB for June 12th. I don't know where he's going to end up, but man, he is really, really good. I'm sure Texas really wants to hold on to Greedy James, and I get it. Elite football player. When we come back, I want to jump into the chat a little bit, talk more about this corner situation and why, if the team you root for, if they don't go out and sign elite corners every year, that's okay. You can take guys from other positions, and I've talked about this already today a little bit. Elite corners can play safety. Some of the elite safeties can play corner. Are you finding guys that are at least versatile that can transition into playing corner for whatever scheme you want? If it's more cover two base traditional like Iowa, or if it's more like LSU or Corey Raymond who likes cover one, do you have the physical traits that you're bringing in year to year in your recruiting classes? Let's talk about that next right here on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at TurboTax. It is tax time, but for a lot of us, the old ways of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade with TurboTax. Now, has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax agent and get your documents uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. TurboTax Expert will work to get your every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. All right, let's talk about versatility and then jump back into the opportunity to look at this holistically, why it's so hard. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, not as many 6'1" to 6'3" guys trying to play hoops go to the NBA anymore. There's more to pull from. We got more people that are working with kids that are trainers. I spoke to a receiver yesterday that's working with Ryan Williams' dad, the receiver at University of Alabama. His dad understands receiver play, so he's a guy that played at Auburn. I'm sure there's a million different guys, it seems like it everywhere I go, that train corners somewhere. If you have kids that are working like that, that's a good sign. Young kids coming into your program, whether it's high school or whatever, and then, of course, college, that have been through that, that's going to help. But the biggest thing is just the athleticism and the versatility. The kids that I talk about the most that make it have played multiple spots. And it used to be this way even more because everybody put their best player at running back or quarterback. Offenses weren't as diverse throwing the ball. So that's changed some. But are you at least, let's say you're a Wake Forest fan, you're probably not winning a national title. But if you're taking kids that can really run and change direction, at least you have a chance. What school do you root for and how does that work? We'll dive into that throughout this segment. And I want to combine that with the chat. What's going on, Salty? You got a lot of stuff going on here, man. The weekend event for us went terrible, to be honest. We didn't play well. We had a team that was just gutted by kids taking visits. Jamarian Simmons, our most decorated receiver, was at Auburn, and just et cetera. All these kids were on visits. And to be honest, the tournament wasn't that great because everybody's teams were pretty much gutted. Salty, how has the cornerback position changed from the way it was 10 to 20 years ago? It's all the different zone principle stuff that I talked about, know and match. Saban's defense has now been in some way, and I'm sure there's some alterations, it's used at the NFL level. Look at what the Seahawks did. They were driving on the ball. Look what Indiana did against Oregon in the playoff game, the way they were driving on the screens. It's like you're in zone and man at the same time. It's an oxymoron to say that, but if you can't mix and match play to play, how you're handling things, you won't be successful in most, not all, but most defenses, because they're going to ask a lot of you above the shoulders. There's no more just cover one because everybody runs bunch formations. You can't run cover one like that anymore. You can run it from your base, but eventually you're going to have to trade off. And it gets very complex because teams are putting 6'5" receivers in the slot sometimes. Teams are putting guys that are or like a flex tight end, whatever you want to call it. Then on the next play, it's a 5'9" kid that's really twitchy. It's a running back. They motion him into the slot. You got to know how to handle that. It's all the mental stuff that has completely changed the game. And again, they're just trying to scheme open somebody that's just jogging down the field, catches the ball, and walks into the end zone. It's not just route running. They're trying to scheme open that. And I saw it a ton this weekend. For us, against us, it's not easy to avoid. How easy is it for a cornerback to switch to safety and vice versa? Hips are everything. Safety is harder to go to corner than corner is to safety, but it's the mental part. At safety, you're trying to line up other people. Some people want to do that. Some people just want to do their own thing. So it's a mentality deal. Safeties probably have to study a little bit more, but it's not as much as it used to be. Because again, I know I'm repetitive here. Bunch formations change every single play. Defensive coaches loathe them. They hate it. Everything is mesh changing. And when that happens, sometimes you get a linebacker on a receiver. That doesn't go well. So you've got to get home. That's the other thing. Some of these coverages, some teams are really conservative because they know their front four isn't going to get home much. So they want to keep everything in front of them, wait for a penalty, wait for a D lineman to actually make a play, wait for a drop. You're waiting for a negative. Those are the teams that can't win it as a general rule, but you're still going to see more cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, and match moving forward because teams, they're too explosive. You have to mitigate the chunk yardage plays, 15 or 20. Everybody's got their own metric. Some people go by 15, some go by 20, but I use 20. 20-yard passing plays and above, they are the killers. If you charted like the major programs like Texas, Ohio State, etc., how many times they scored touchdowns in any given season moving forward, I guarantee you the propensity for those drives to have at least one play, minimum one, oftentimes multiple, of 20 yards is going to be pretty high. Dumb plays by the defender, a missed tackle in space. Some of these guys just make players miss, and it's off to the races. Comes a track meet. That's the key. Should all cornerbacks also play receiver in high school to gain an understanding of the tactics used by receivers? I won't go all because some schools have so many players they don't need to do that, but they should talk to receiver coaches. They should talk to their teammates about, hey, why'd you do this? I literally watch it. Those conversations, watching DBs talking to receivers and vice versa at 7-on-7 events. Why did you do this? Sometimes it's in between the games. Sometimes it's at the house you're staying at in between the Saturday and Sunday event. Like everybody goes over that stuff. It matters. Salty, is Dante Wright, Long Beach Poly, a 5-star recruit? I haven't studied him a ton yet, but he's ranked really high. He's a kid that's actually on my list for later today. He's one of them. It's not easy. I mean, right now, Dobson, Meredith, those are two that are kind of stand out to me. I don't know for sure. I'd probably put Hasan there, Hayden Stepp definitely, and Gaylord. Those would be some of them. But I think there is as many as about 8 guys that could be 5-star corners this year. It's insane. And by the way, I know that Rivals and 24/7 mirror it based on first-round draft picks, and that's fine. I think there are more than 32 guys that are 5-star this year. I think conservatively it's closer to 40 because it's a little more top-heavy at a couple of spots this year, corner being one of them. It's a deep year. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a deep year at corner.